Hi, Ricky. How are you?
Hey, Ron, how you doing?
Very good. Thanks, everyone, for joining us just as we gear up shortly here on this Wednesday lunchtime, wherever you're dialing in from. As always, we'll give it a minute or two to get some stragglers in as they bounce from Zoom to Zoom. And then we'll look forward to getting into this interactive session. So in the chat, the way we like to operate webinars is this is not a TED Talk. Otherwise, you can just go watch YouTube, right? So this is an interactive session. In this instance, whether you're looking for new roles or you're hiring or you don't want to know your worth, we want to know, make sure that this is a lot of value that we're going to have throughout this session. We've got the hour. We probably won't need all of it, but we want lots of interaction throughout because we want to make sure that the insights that we've gathered right across APAC in preparation of this, which is we really sort of kicked off in about November in terms of doing the research phase to be able to present today. Want to make sure it's really valuable for everyone attending. So to start off with, the way we always start is thank you, Alison. Drop in your name, company, where you're dialing in from in the chat, and then we'll get into it. Rochelle, good to see you. From Marcelo, lots of friendly. Dane, legend, good catch up soon, mate. Shuba, always a pleasure. Scott, thank you. Thanks for all the work you've done behind the scenes to bring this to life. Yourself and Alison, it's been fantastic. Elaine, Cam. All right. Everyone far and wide. All right, Ricky, what do you reckon? We get into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, everyone. We're going to have a few polls throughout and make it interactive as we go. All right, so you're all here for the Partnership Salary Survey. Like we've had so many questions over the last month of people hitting our inbox. Hey, can you give us a report ready? I'm looking for, about to go a new role. Am I getting paid enough? What does it look like? We want to build some new team members. Do you have some insights? And so today is day one of releasing this into market. In terms of what we're going to cover here, everyone loves an agenda. So we're going to look through like where partnership sits and some insights for it. And also what it means around turning this into action, not only in your role, but in a forward projection going forward for the year ahead. We'll show some takeaways. We'll show you how to download a report, and then we'll go forward. So for this report is designed in partnership with our partner, our good friend Ricky Pearl from Pointer, and our mutual partner Firmable. Let's start off with Ricky. Who the bloody hell are you?
Ricky Pearl, Pointer Strategy. We help build go-to-market teams across APAC, specifically ANZ. Been in, I guess, in and around the sales ecosystem since we were an outsourced sales team, but now helping companies thrive and succeed in-house. And I guess with this, we're launching our partnership arm with specialty partnership recruitment, making sure that companies can thrive and build successful channels.
Yeah, thanks, Ricky. And it's been great to collaborate on this because essentially the work that we do at Hockey Stick, where we enable partnership opportunities to fuel growth, is companies, it's either top line growth of we don't want to hire lots of salespeople. Can partnerships help? What does that look like? Or maybe we don't have the budget to keep fueling CapEx. What does that look like? So the hopes and dreams live between that gap on the right, which we operationalize through our partnership framework on our side. And fundamentally, once our work's been delivered, who executes on that? Great operators. And so that's where Ricky and the team sort of come in, and we'll have some more details as we walk through it. So Scott in the background is going to fire up a poll. We want to know for the people here active today, what does it actually look like? Why are you here? Why you've been looking at the report? Because we want to make sure the content is relative. So that should pop up on your screen right now. I've always got a rule of thumb when a Ravi's up is I just basically refuse to go forward until we get full participation. So up to you on your lunch breaks around to contribute towards this. Lots of you are here for the data, no surprise. Some of you, might be starting to look for a new role, or you're considering ahead, or you're looking to hire some people upcoming. So this builds the foundations for it. Rick has been doing some, some really well articulated video posts in the last few weeks where he's sort of saying, like, you know, how much should a partnerships person get paid in the region? And the answer is it is absolutely finger in the air.
It's all over the show. But I think that's something we'll dive into. Even the data that Firmable and their data team was able to pull for us really shows a mixed bag.
Yeah, that's right.
Where partnerships is at.
Right. Yeah. So there's a bit of a mix. The answers are coming through. That there is a mix of why you hear the data. Like, do I know my worth? Is quite a common question we get going. So let's get into it. All right. So Ricky, the purpose here is we're going to provide insights beyond a downloadable PDF that's of use. Drawing in from data from both sides of here and have an active conversation. So let's kick off with the rise of partnerships as a growth function. So for everyone who's attending today and been in discussion for this is a role of what you get paid for, right? And pleasingly, we're seeing that most companies are growing their partnerships teams over the last 12 months and plan to continue to do so. What was even better was last Friday, LinkedIn released their rising jobs in Australia. And Ricky, with his finger on the pulse, sent me the link first, so I'll let him take the credits. But
it was really interesting, right? This was the second go-to-market role out of the top 15. Like, all the rest were, as you expect, AI engineer, AI this, AI that. There were 2 go-to-market roles within the top 5. One was a head of sales, and this partnerships above marketing and all else.
Yeah, that's right. And so for all of you on the call listening right now, like, you're in the right place. I commonly describe to CEOs, CROs, founders, is that partnerships is the strategic growth asset if done well. And so when we run this again in a year, 2 years ahead, we want to see your careers continue to flourish, which I know there's a few people on the call now who've absolutely been leaning into that. And this thing called AI, which is not going away, is still going to be underpinned by relationships, trust, context on top of the AI data to be able to bring these partnerships, to establish partnerships and bring them to life. And yes, AI can be used efficiently for it, but that's why we're seeing that partnerships is coming through. And from a board level right down, it's really a lot of leaders are partner curious right now, is the way I'm sort of describing it. And a bit of a buzzword, but what that means is they want partnerships to fire. Some of them are skeptical. Been there before, it didn't work. Some of them want it to happen. And I've had conversations with people who are on this call right now, they'll know who they are, is that why can't partnerships deliver next week, next month of what it is? But I feel like as an industry, as a vertical, as a go-to-market channel, this is really pleasing that we're in the right place as we go into 2026. And Ricky, on your side, like, if you sort of rewind last year from insights from Pointer, like, how and where have partnership roles popped up?
Well, we'll see within the report. We're seeing it pop up much earlier than we used to. It used to, partnerships was an enterprise play. It was when you had a really matured go-to-market team, you'd start building your partnership strategy and your partnership team out. We're seeing that move much earlier on. And I think one of the drivers, and this is anecdotal, I think with all of the AI slop that's coming in with outbound, we're seeing people first, things that cut through the noise. So that builds trust quicker is becoming a bit of a focus. Even if you turn on your search on Google and you look for a solution, the whole front page is essentially sponsored or paid for in some way. So you can't really get the insights. I think it started during COVID with people turning towards their community, and that evolved into this ecosystem, and people are realizing actually partnerships is the cut through.
Yeah, and it's definitely good for our business. And we've been growing as a result on our side, and the formation of our partnerships of what we're doing today here too, right? So one insight which was quite interesting is from the people we surveyed, the market results showed that the main role in market is doers, in terms of partnership managers who are out there growing partnerships, building, establishing for it, followed by head of partnerships, obviously with a leadership position around it. And then this one in particular correlates with what we're sort of seeing in market, is that about 80% of partner roles from some work we did last year in a state of partnerships are focused on partner-led sales. And so as a function, whether set up correctly or not, the prominent role is partner managers. What's your sort of take on this one, Ricky?
Well, I think firstly, this stat isn't from the respondents to the survey. This is from firmable data. So this maps the entire ecosystem of partnership. And yeah, it's definitely skewing towards execution. It's definitely skewing towards sales. And we're also seeing that, and we'll come up later, around which functions people move into partnerships from. So I think that's all tracking. But like you say, there's that real meaty middle within that management layer and partnership managers that is pretty execution heavy.
Yeah, that's right. And like with the data that you see on the screen here provided by Firmable, what it means in my interpretation of it is plenty of opportunities right now. If it's one of the fastest growing roles in Australia and other regions, but there's this amount of headcount right now, there's going to be opportunities now and ahead coming through. So what it's going to come down to stand out is how did you make an impact to either drive that top line growth or create those bottom line efficiencies that the next company you want to work with is going to buy you for that experience and the impact you've made to sort of move forward. So moving through, I'm not surprised by these insights that most participants, like no one was born in partnerships is a common saying. Like myself, I came way back in the day from an outbound sales perspective to kick off and before the light bulb of partnerships for myself. Most of them come from a sales lens. Ricky, are you sort of seeing this trend, with the core business of what Pointer has evolved from? Where are you seeing candidates?
We're definitely seeing them primarily come from sales. Again, a lot of this will depend on the partnership motion. Sometimes they are marketing-led partnerships and they'll skew in the marketing team, or we're seeing some real stellar candidates coming through from customer success. They've got their experience in retention and relationship building, in mapping across business functions, but primarily sales, and the skills are really transferable from sales. I think part of that is also part of the problem, in that there actually is a difference in approach between your typical seller and what has to be promoted within partnerships, and some are struggling to bridge that gap. But I think all of this makes complete sense. We know the job to be done within partnerships, and a lot of that is the same skills you'd use as an account executive or somewhere else within sales.
Yeah, good point, Ricky. And when we're engaging with companies where they've brought in people with a clear sales background, where sales is typically transactional, every month, hit your target, what does that look like around it? And what we see is too many companies that don't go through what we call the validate stage of why would these companies want to work with you? They just get them to target and go. And so I think there's an opportunity for everyone on this call here to how do we level up to an executive conversation that we need to make sure we've got a really strong partner value proposition armed with a sales background. But what it's not having a sales approach of just banging on doors, signing ghost agreements, getting logos which go nowhere, which whilst I can't see everyone, I'm sure there's a lot of nodding people on that. Does that relate? Anyone in chat? Are we onto something here? Are we keen to know?
Certainly going to be different between your startups and your enterprises with well-established partnership channels as well.
Yep. So let's get into that, Ricky, around how does it sort of break down? Because what we are seeing is skews between different size companies as well. So the middle of the bell curve. So what we looked at is we called out that partnership managers is the middle of the roll for a base salary of 164,000 in the middle of the bell curve for what we look like. But the good news is a lot of them have seen a salary increase over the last 12 months. So it is a growing trend that we're seeing, which is good. However, when we dug a little bit deeper, is we also wanted to look into commission, because it's always base plus commission if it's sales related. Ricky, any sort of thoughts around how this makeup looks like? How just compared to like a sales role, for example?
Your typical sales role is the classic 50-50 base and commission, sometimes 60-40, maybe as you scale up towards leadership, some 70-30s. But if we just take the classic 50-50, we're seeing a real mixed bag within partnerships of how they're compensated and how they attach to outcomes. And I think that often just points to the soft strategy, that they don't necessarily have clarity around the ROI around the effectiveness, and so don't necessarily know entirely how to compensate as they're building out their partnership teams. But I think what we are seeing is more being tied towards outcomes with higher commissions and getting closer to that 50-50 we're seeing quite popular at the moment.
Yeah. And the insight from our side is, if someone's in year one of building partnership program or rolling it out or recruiting partners, it's very hard for them to hit commissions year one. But if you're year two, so we look at the partner maturity of what does that look like. But if I have a portfolio of partners and then we need to drive activity, engagements, and partner marketing, get it all going, it's going to be much easier to draw and drive outcomes in that second year. And therefore the commission constructor evolves around what it takes, the inputs to achieve those sort of targets as outcomes. So, all right, let's keep on going. So benefits, why work in partnerships, right? In terms of a few insights here, no surprise, flexible work and leave, right? In a post-COVID environment, could you see 5 days in the office with fixed hours in the cubicle today? Absolutely not. Ricky, what's your view with a broader lens? Like, what are you seeing that what are top talent looking for?
I mean, look, a hybrid is absolutely the preference at the moment. We actually, you certainly get more respondents and more candidates apply to fully remote roles. However, the top candidates are typically not taking fully remote roles. They're wanting to get in office, they're wanting to move fast, they're wanting to build team. But 5 days in office, pretty rare, and you start losing talent again. I think that 3-day hybrid is kind of the default, de facto. Some startups pushing towards 4 days in office, things like that. But I think that flexibility, this is part of this conflict where startups are starting to push towards more in office. A lot of companies are, but the top talent is saying, no, we absolutely demanding that flexibility. That was by far the number one benefit and expectation, whereas everything else was wanted and desired, but wouldn't necessarily be a reason to leave a job or stay in a job.
Yeah, spot on. All right, let's keep going. This is interesting, right? Retention check. So what we've learned so far. Yeah, so what we've learned so far is that people are getting pay rises and they're growing into the role. We also know the whole partnerships vertical is growing. There's going to be more opportunities for it. So this door starts to open, right? Maybe open to opportunity, and actively looking means that people are keeping their feelers out in market and what's going on. From outside, from my network, every week someone will message me like a job ad, or like, hey, I'm just having a look around. Do you know these people with an intro, or would this be any good? Or like, there's a lot of just keeping the eyes open. What's your thoughts here, Ricky?
Yeah, constantly. I think one points to the opportunity for partnership professionals. I think it also points towards the fact that there hasn't been real clarity around expectations from the market and pay. Hence this report that a certain percentage of the market is being overpaid, and that's attractive to people. So whilst there's still this volatility as the partnership ecosystem or as a profession grows, there are these opportunities to earn 15% above market simply because that company didn't know. Obviously, that's reducing and the like, but yeah, 73% being open to opportunities means like focusing on retaining talent has to be pretty core if you're building out a team.
Yeah,
you've got to know what you're bringing them into.
Absolutely. I think the option for this question could have been asked a little bit deeper and go on like multiple answers for it, because from a discontentment from partnership operators in market is that they don't have exec buy-in, or they're not set up for success is very common. And so the third one around management or culture or support, or we've been hired for these partnership roles, we agreed on this, but then they said, oh, we've given this target, which is 5x my current base plus salary in the first year. Can I deliver on it? You see people make the within a year jump and sort of bounce on very commonly. And so if there's opportunities in market and growing, and there's going to be more roles coming through as per the trends we're looking for, this is a pretty key one to get right. So in terms of, just for another poll, Scott, in the background, if you could, like, we sort of want to understand, like, what's the tension in partnerships right now that we're seeing? just for transparency, the results are anonymous. We don't know what's doing us. Please answer transparency so it's more insightful. No surprise, it's that point I raised, right? Lack of clarity.
Well, let's get a few more in and see here. But, and this would also change depending on the stage of the organization.
Yep. Yeah, and also I think there's also a moment around the company stage of growth, and is it on a growth journey, and is there career opportunities to sort of go with that, and the belief of where it's going, that it's not an incumbent you're working at, you're in a growth company with big opportunities, and you invest your time, energy, and efforts towards it, then around it. The other thing we see in partnerships is too commonly leadership teams will give a top-down partnership target. Right, next quarter it's going up again, it's this, and a lot of people will reach out to us like, how the hell are we going to reach this? This doesn't make any plan. And the way to mitigate that is to get proactive and build a bottoms-up plan around how you can achieve what's been requested, or help shape what the number should be, or the impact, or whatever it may be, even in product partnerships or marketing partnerships. And then, but really importantly, over communicate what you need to be set up for success, the dependencies, the blockers, all of those things, which will help mitigate that one, which is sitting at 80%. And I'm not really surprised in that.
Yeah, and what I'm seeing here with these two challenges, obviously the lack of clarity and role scope and expectations, endless challenge. I spoke to someone we work with in a global fintech yesterday. Their targets have gone up 40% for the year. Yeah, I think one of them is on the call. And then with that retaining talent, one of the challenges with partnerships is you are forming relationships. You know, you are the quality and the value is in the relationship. It's no longer transactional, just about product alignment, you know, just about pain and product. And so when partnership managers leave, it does have this dragging effect on the organization. So we're definitely seeing that. And I think that starts with partnership managers succeeding. And a lot of that starts with the strategy.
Yeah, that's right.
And what they can do.
Yeah, like if Ricky, I jumped on a call and said, hey, we need 50% more leads next quarter. What are you going to do to deliver on it, of the promise of everything? It's a little bit. I'd
start with, are you giving us 200% more budget?
Yeah.
And then when the answer is no, you're like, well, how do you want us to do this? Partnership isn't a coin-operated machine like outbound sales might be. Make 100 more calls, you might get 10 more conversations, you might get 2 more meetings. The problem with that coin-operated machine is it does have diminishing returns. That your first 100, your second 100, and once you're up to 100,000, you start just getting less and less. Partnerships is the other side. You get this increasing returns on investment as the ecosystem grows, but it is slightly indirect how the mechanism works. So their planning needs to be miles ahead. It's building partnerships the same as planting a tree. The right time to do it was 4 years ago. But yeah, absolutely, we're seeing those as major tensions. And unfortunately, when they come to us with misalignments, and when they come to us with those problems, and they come to us that they're struggling to retain talent, just replacing talent is putting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound.
Good analogy to close out there. Love it. Yeah, I agree. So let's keep going. What does it look like on an employee level? And we'll just share some insights around what does it look like. So firstly, you can see the bands here. The way we've done this, just for transparency, rather than at per revenue stage, we've done it at number of employees, which also quite closely correlates around Series A, Series B, depending on bootstrap to go with it. Not too far away. But we're seeing slightly lower pay here for the startups who are up and running. Commonly, when we're working with companies trying to establish partnerships, it's often someone in customer success or marketing or sales, and they have like a mutual role to start off with. They've got company IP to be able to talk to it, and they put partnerships on their table sort of also do, which I always ask the CEO, the founders, like, if you only put someone on 2 days a week, what kind of results are they going to be able to deliver for you? So the resourcing discussion is really important. And the commission here, even on a lower base, can have a bigger upside because you're able to bring things effectively from 0 to 1 or 0 to 2. There's a bit of upside to go with it. Ricky?
Brian, just on this point, I think projecting, I know what the next two slides are that are showing the scale ups and the upmarket. As you could imagine, startups are paying the least, but you could argue that startups that are starting their partnership strategies early actually need the most experience. This is arguably the hardest. You got the most immature product, the most immature ecosystem, the most immature go-to-markets, and you're now paying the least. So I think what this would start highlighting is a strategy gap that's going to come, because you're going to be using up-and-coming staff members, top performers for sure, but maybe haven't built this out 2 or 3 times before. And this isn't why we're here, but Bryan, this is why I love the work that you do, because I think this is where these startups actually need that. And it's reflected in the salaries here, that they would have a strategy gap given their pay.
Yeah, that's right. And so what do we think of startups investing in partnerships? We do think of that they do have emerging or product market fit. We've got an existing go-to-market channel, which they want to complement with an overlay or expand with them through partnerships. And that they're sort of growing into it, and they're looking to put their first partnerships hire in play once they've got a line of sight to ROI around what partnerships could deliver, to take it seriously, rather than a side bet on the side of someone's role, as a lot of early stage companies commonly do. The CEO to founders, they know someone they used to work with, or insert big logo on hopes and dreams. And so once that strategy layer of where to play, how to win is defined, that can inform what levels of investment and headcount is to come, which is kind of like we spend a lot of time in those conversations right at that point.
It might be worth moving through the next 2 slides quickly, just so they can see how the graph skews towards much higher bases and actually sometimes lower commissions too.
Yeah, so with the scale up phase from 100 to 500, sometimes we see a little bit lower bases, but we know we've got bigger teams. So you've got rather than a solo operator, you've got a few coming through, and the commissions complement to go with that. So it could be partner marketing, partner ops, more of a partner account management team to go with it. And then into enterprise, no surprise, you're dealing with bigger businesses, bringing in bigger revenue targets. Often we've established partnership plays, looking to refine, optimize, and grow rather than establish early on. So therefore, the ROI, which we sort of see coming through here, is a little bit higher. Anything to add to this one, Ricky?
No. Yeah, in the detailed stats, which we don't, obviously not presenting on this, it is interesting to look at the commission skew as well. How the up and coming hungry startup partnership ecosystem people might be higher compensated with the commissions as a higher percentage of their total compensation. And as you move into enterprise, where it's more established, more account management, things like that, the 70-30 split becomes a bit more prevalent. But I think that's when we dive into the detailed report for those that are lucky enough to get their hands on it.
Awesome. All right. So what do we do for now? So what does that look like for 2026 and beyond? So we're into the middle of February. Planning and budgeting is not too far away for Australia. March, April, May. New Zealand's not too far away from end of March. A lot of companies still working calendar year as well, so looking to close out a strong H2 if they're on the financial year. So thoughts here, Ricky, and then we'd like to introduce special guest as well shortly to follow.
Yeah, I think this was all just really encouraging insights and data that we found. It's not project-based hiring. Companies are consistently hiring for partnership roles. They're growing it out. They're seeing the ROI, and they're just keeping to build it. So again, just back to that original slide of, there's a reason it's one of the top 15 growing roles over the last 12 months, and the second fastest go-to-market role above anything in marketing. Like everything else growing is AI related, engineering, software. This partnerships really standing out as trending very strongly in the right direction.
Yeah, spot on, Ricky. And the way we've looked to solve it through these partnerships is bringing an experienced operator ourselves. And so pleased to welcome Hugo to the call. Welcome, Hugo.
Thank you very much, Bryan and Ricky, and it's really great to be here.
Awesome. Well, in the last few weeks, since you've been onboarding, you've been having coffees and meetings far and wide, gathering trends and insights, and being able to talk to a little bit of a sneak peek from what we're seeing in the report. What kind of insights can you share, just at a high level, from some of these conversations you can share back to the audience today, Hugo?
I think there's a few things. Firstly, to build on Ricky's point, partnerships is definitely a growing sector. I think AI and the rise of that and the outbound motion actually means that human to human relationship and that partnership is more important than ever. The trust that's developed and the way partnerships really are that glue between two organizations that are trying to work together, and the need to manage that carefully. And I think the data really speaks to that. It speaks to the growth of it and the maturities that we're seeing in market as well. And I think we're certainly speaking to more and more clients that are looking to put in their first partnership hires as well, and figuring out what's the best strategy. Should we be coming in with a very senior hire and let them build their strategy, or should we, and the time to market that takes, or should we be looking instead at a sort of a mid-level partnership manager hire and bringing the strategy in for them to execute on? So there's a lot of different thoughts and schools of thought, and I think it really does change depending on the size of organization and where they're at as well.
Yeah, well said. We sort of see it's usually two objectives when you boil it right down. It's time to revenue. How do we get there fast and get partnership? Or time to value. How can we solve this gap for it? A buzzword we like to say commonly is OPM, right? We want to get partnerships going for OPM, which stands for other people's money, right? Like it's either their sales. We want the sales team to sell our stuff. We want their marketing to push our brand and awareness events and so across socials. And we want their products so we don't have to build everything ourselves. And so with those levers to pull and push, I think the role of partnerships is quite well defined if it's communicated back up, and having the key talent to execute on that is how it all ties together, right? And when we looked last year at, the ability of or how confident are you all ability to manage and scale partnerships? This is an interesting one because it also contradicts what we saw earlier in the poll of sort of saying, well, I'm frustrated from the internal politics or managing up or the culture to recognize that whilst we can do a good job, we're just not really quite enabled the way we do it, which, Ricky, in my view, sort of goes back to why some people are keeping one eye open in the market around maybe there's a better offer down the road. How do you sort of tie this all together, Ricky? Yeah,
I'd say firstly, it's not just, we spoke about this, there's maybe a better offer out there, but I think a lot of people are open to opportunities because maybe they're a little bit uncertain about their safety within their current role because of this. If you look at this and you're saying, look, 40% of companies, over 40% of companies aren't confident that they can win with partnerships. And these are of people that are employed in partnerships and running partnership teams, and 40% don't have the confidence in the operation. So I think it goes back to that alignment, to that strategy piece, to being enabled in execution. Partnership needs time to marketing, to your RevOps, to every part of the organization. It is all of business strategy. And we're not necessarily seeing that play out. The fact that only 7% are supremely confident in executing and winning in this is quite alarming. So overall, I guess with anything, there's really strong green go signals, and there's also these slightly amber ones, and the nuance is reading in between them, in between the lines.
Yeah, well said. So closing out with our last poll for today, before we sort of get into next steps, will partnerships talent be a priority for your business this year going forwards?
And whilst everyone's filling this in, maybe just a little bit more about Hugo. I think he's going to be one of the only people that I know in Australia, certainly, that is going to absolutely dedicate himself to the partnership professionals, right? And building partnership strategies. This isn't a fintech thing. This isn't we're in HR tech. This is about partnership professionals who know how to do the role, know how to do it well, or at times like what do we need to look for in sales professionals to co-opt into partnership roles, or marketing professionals about to take on partner marketing and the like. So if you don't know Hugo, sometime over the next 30 years of your career, you should probably plan to get to know him.
That's right. Yeah. We want him to be the window and gateway to a next partnership role as you progress your career. So look forward to having him part of our ecosystem proactively, and I'm sure you'll all meet him if you don't chat to him shortly.
Thank you.
So
do connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm sure we'll put my profile in the chat. There we go. Thanks, Alison.
Thanks, Hugo. All right, so not surprising those, more roles to come, and a lot of you are sort of considering as the budgeting season keeps going. So Ricky, a few takeaways for yours. I think firstly, you've got to audit the strategy gap. And what this means is you've got to have a really defined view around what is the role of partnerships. And this needs to be communicated aggressively and regularly with the leadership team and cross-functionally. So what it's not just chatting to everyone or wherever an opportunity opens its door. It's got to be very targeted because the resources you put behind that is underpinned behind that stage. So we call that at our line stage for our partnership framework. And then from there, we spoke earlier around like, how do you stop these people from potentially moving on? Is, the growth should be in line with what the role of partnership should be, and opportunities will open up. Like when we're working with a CFO on getting a partnership plan endorsed, it's what is the line of sight to the ROI? What percentage of revenue will it deliver, or product gap, or partner influence will it do? Therefore, what roles do we need to put in place to drive and when to be able to realize that business outcome? The same way that when you'd be building a sales organization, you would put in very clearly dollar in, dollar out, but over a longer term view, like Ricky mentioned, as it's built on trust and relationships. And then the last one, which we work really tightly on, and we think companies get too commonly wrong, is going deep, not broad, with a select few partners, and being able to work with your portfolio to understand what is the likelihood for delivering outcomes on both sides for them as well as for you ongoing, because then you're going to get the resource and the investment you need to be able to stand it up. Ricky, based on some of the insights today in the report, what else would you add to this from Pointer's perspective?
No, I'd maybe just reframe it, right? Like I know you've got some great terminology there around like your alignment and operationalizing it, but ultimately you need a strategy and you need to execute on that strategy. And if either of those isn't working right, this isn't going to succeed. And I think being part of a community, being part of an ecosystem like Hockey Sticks is also important, because if your leadership is measuring ROI week to week or month to month or even quarter to quarter, it might not meet the time frame of where your partnerships is delivering value. And often companies struggle seeing these long-term growth opportunities, particularly if they're VC funded, in between rounds, and every dollar just needs to have an impact on the next capital raise. So getting that strategy and that alignment right is absolutely critical to success. And obviously execution goes without say. It can all fall down even with the right strategy.
Yeah, if you execute, you'll get more resources, including headcount and career opportunities to go with. So that's where the rubber hits the road. It wouldn't a sales or a marketing role. So partnerships the same. It's got to deliver impact. So let's keep it going. All right. So like Ricky said, enabling the execution and bringing that to life is what really matters for it. If you want to go deeper and look into the report, now before this event, you would have all got in the email a downloadable version of the report itself, which is high level, a lot of the insights for what we shared today. If you're at a company level and looking to want to go a bit deeper, especially the compensation, the roles, the analytics for it, what you can do is you can jump on a call with Hugo, who will be able to talk through some insights and which would be relevant to your organization around that, what that looks like upcoming. And we want to see some feedback too. So it'd be great to see some things across socials or conversations in coming weeks around how this correlates to people's roles or outlook, on the back of like partnerships being a rising role. So moving through, in terms of our core focus at Hockey Stick, there's a QR code which COVID made us all familiar for. You can jump on a little bit more. Essentially, we build the partner capability, a tight, sharpened strategy, which gets founder and exec sign off. And we build a capability and operating model to bring partnerships to life with the possibilities that we all know it can do. And, we've got a growing team, which is helping bring this to life right across APAC and working closely with Pointer. So over to you, Ricky. Bit of a snapshot of what you guys do today and also with Hugo at the Realm too.
Well, broadly, Pointer's value and point of difference is that as a recruiter, we think that we need to be aligned with your success. And so we've attached ourselves to the actual success of the person in seat. We align in two ways. Firstly, by offering ongoing enablement. So every person that we place, we will support for 12 months in that role with the help of hockey stick for partnerships. But we've got a stellar enablement team that built out 80 certifications across sales. We've got marketing specific functions, go-to-market engineer, customer success, all dedicated around go-to-market teams that we enable for 12 months post-hire so that they can succeed. And importantly, we've attached our revenue to that as well. So we only paid over 12 months if the person's in seat. So if this person doesn't succeed in seat, we don't succeed as recruiters. I think also just to add, this is the tip of the iceberg for the data that we're collecting. We are monitoring every single partnership job posted through APAC on a monthly basis, every single one. Like there was 5,000 plus last month. We're looking at what percentage of them mention AI capabilities within the skill sets. What percentage are remote versus hybrid versus in office. We're constantly going to be collecting that data. So at any stage, if you need insights that you need to float up to your CFO or otherwise, Hugo's just going to be the constant source of knowledge for anything people and capability related to partnership.
Thanks, Ricky. In closing, we also want to thank our partner, Firmable, who has helped brought this to life and brought some of the insights, which is unique and bespoke across APAC to this. For those, if you don't know Firmable, the short version is if you want to go recruit a bunch of partners and you want access to their name, details, LinkedIn and mobiles, Firmable's got the sales intelligence tools to be able to provide those. So you can reach out to your partners as you start to recruit them. I used this myself last week as we're launching a new initiative to get a hold of a bunch of head of partnerships, and it was very easy. I used my old outbound skills to find the numbers, give them a call, introduce what we're about and bringing it to life. And so there's a QR code on there and it'll be included in the report details.
Yeah. And just to note, they are also expanding. They do all of APAC. Will soon be doing even broader. We run the outbound operation for over 100 Aussie startups. And I can just tell you empirically, we've used all the different data tools. We now only use Firmable. It is the place to get that. And Karthik and the data team there, Tara, Paul, and Lee and everyone else that supported us, the insights are genuinely remarkable.
Yeah, absolutely, Ricky. All right, so in closing out, hopefully this has been a valuable session for it. We're happy to stay on the line here for a few more minutes and also give some time back for if there's any questions for it. Like we said, you'll have access to the high level of the report. Encourage you to book some time with Hugo. Firstly, add him to LinkedIn, get to know him, make sure he likes you. When opportunities come up as well, you want to make sure you're on his radar and top of mind, has a detailed understanding around the impact you've made today and ahead. And from an organizational layer, if you are looking to hire upcoming and even gain some insights around some market trends of either the data that Pointer has or access to information we have via Firmable, or from a lot of the conversations he's been having, he's definitely a valuable resource to reach out to. So with that, Ricky, anything else further to add before we look to close out?
No, really just excited to start getting stuck into the partnership ecosystem and the partnership community.
Thanks, Ricky, and thanks everyone in the chat as well for coming along. We'll stay on for a few minutes if anyone wants to ask a few questions before we wrap up.
Doesn't look like any questions are coming through.
Yep. So I think we'll wrap it up here for now, Ricky. Thanks everyone again. Enjoy some time back, and we'll see you at events or as we are out in the community, not too far away.